Hey Dino, how's it going?
Really well.
Why don't you give us your name and a little bit of your background? What do you do now?
Sure. My name is Dino Sarti. I'm 40 years old. I grew up in Southern California, consider myself a Southern California guy. And I own and operate my own beverage business. So not only do we sort of innovate new drink ideas, we also sort of represent and sell ideas from other people.
Great, thanks. So, what's your triathlon story, Dino?
I got into triathlon probably 3.5 years ago, and it was really kind of the final chapter in kind of a big life change for me. So 4 years ago, we got pregnant with my son, and I decided to kind of totally change my life. I wanted to be sort of a different person. I wanted to get back to the person that I was. And the biggest part about that for me was losing a ton of weight that I'd put on. I'd gotten up to 255 pounds, and I had this dream of having abs. I still have the dream of having abs, but I'm closer than I was. So over the course of the last 4 years, I gave up alcohol, I gave up red meat, I tried to avoid sweets, I really changed my diet. I lost 80 pounds and started getting a lot more active and a lot more into exercise. And I was riding my bike and I was running, but only kind of to cross train because I had this notion that I needed to get quote unquote exercise. But I didn't have a plan, I wasn't training for anything. Then my brother twisted my arm into doing a triathlon with him, and I was completely a hater. He drugged me to it kicking and screaming, and it was the Malibu Sprint Triathlon. So I went and did it with him. I had no goals going into it, but I thought getting under 2 hours would be good. That just seemed like a nice round number. So I think I did it in 1:59 and a half, like barely squeaked out 2 hours. My brother went, I think, 1:40, and seemed like some kind of god. And I got hooked after that. I did the turkey try immediately afterwards. And at the turkey try, I saw somebody at Pinelli. I saw somebody wearing a Pasadena Tri Club kit. And I thought, well, I'm from Pasadena. That seems really interesting. I'd like to get into that. That was November. My first club ride was December 3rd. The first club ride I ever did was up GMR. And I was the last person to the top of GMR. I think Lyndon Newman actually swung back to scoop me up to make sure I was safe.
That's nice.
And it was that day that kind of led me to believe, I didn't know what fast was, I didn't know what far was, I didn't know what hard was, I didn't know what putting in an effort meant. I used to just get on my bike and spin the pedals and think, 45 minutes, that's good. So that first sort of interaction with the club really got me excited about, being competitive, being more active, really bringing some structure to the sport. And what I realized is, while I enjoy racing, I think I really enjoy training for racing more. But the only thing that really adds meaning to the training is knowing that I've got something on the calendar. So then I got into putting events on the calendar. Like everybody else, I went from a sprint to let's see if we can do a half iron to let me see if I can do an Ironman. And last year I completed 2 Ironmans. I did Coeur d'Alene first, my first ever, and then I did Tahoe as my second. And now I'm on this track where I'm really excited about training. I'm really excited about racing. And slowly over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, it's kind of started to define who I am, which is strange because it wasn't part of my life, 3 years ago. But now it's a central element to my life, I think, for sure.
Great. There's a couple of things that made me laugh. My first ride with the club was on GMR too.
We don't even go up there that often, but it's everybody's first.
It's such a brutal place to... but I think it's indicative of the club.
Yeah, well, it was my longest ride, too. When I got home, it was 56 miles. I was like, that was my longest ride ever.
Yeah. Great. So, a couple of things I heard you say was you learned things from the club. If you had to share something with a newbie, what might you tell them now? A newbie to the sport.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So as president of the club, I get all the information, like the emails that go to info@Pasadena Tri Club come to my mailbox. So I wind up talking to new people quite a bit. And what I typically try and tell them is, get over your fears, get over your apprehensions. It's not easy to be the new kid on the block. It's not always easy to ride up to a group of people, 35, 40 people standing at Jones Coffee and introduce yourself. But do it, take the plunge, get interested in it. Realize that the club has got something for everybody, whether you are ultra competitive, sort of Ironman type, whether you're brand new. A lot of people get into our sport the same way I got into it just because they want to be able to eat more if they train more. So I think we offer something for everybody. What I typically tell people is give it a chance, get over whatever fears or inhibitions you might have, give it a try, and I think you'll surprise yourself.
One last thing. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned from triathlon?
God, I think the biggest lesson I've ever learned from triathlon, and it sounds like something you'd see on a bumper sticker. In fact, I've seen bumper stickers that say it. But I learned that work works. The more work you put into it, the more success and the more results that you get. And I've kind of taken that work ethic, I guess, for lack of a better word, and applied it to my life and realized that, the more time, the more energy, the more focus, the more quality training I put in, whether it be in triathlon or in my business life, I seem to get better results. So the little motto that I've adopted and actually stole from somebody else is, work works. The more time and energy you put into it, the better the results you'll find. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And investing quality time in any endeavor in your life, I think can be very fulfilling and very enriching.
Great. Thanks for your time, Dino.
Thanks for coming out.